What is up, Moody?
What is up? What
How's
is
it
up?
going?
All
Back
right.
out here again, another live in-person episode. Making this a consistent thing right now.
Yeah, for sure. The when I went in there to tell Trina we were starting recording, she was like, "I'm waiting on you. You got 52 seconds." I was just like, "Oh wow, okay."
Well, we're fairly on time this week. We're like 5 minutes late, so
Yeah,
fashionably late. Um, I'll let you start with yours because mine is a kind of good dovetail into the show.
yeah. Um, one of my goats, Wheezy F baby, please say the baby. Wayne came out with the Carter Six.
Hmm.
He sounds good, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, it's not mind blowing. I talked to you about this last night because you were like, "I'm probably giving the first like positive review you've heard."
Yeah,
Just like I said, it's not blowing you away, but I'm like, okay, at least I'm not gonna say we're completely away from like drugged out Wayne after the Carter Three and like no ceilings and shit, which was like I would say is his peak.
yeah,
But it gives me that dancey, like he's dancing on the beat again. It's very mixtape Wayne feeling, and some people say that's the best Wayne. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, it's 19 songs. He's got 5 for sure that I'm like coming back to, or just playlist ads when you're on shuffle driving.
yeah.
It's definitely like 5 for me. But yeah, that's all it was. But Weezy's new album is out. The best song is definitely called "Welcome to the Carter." It's the second song on the album. I was like, and I told you last night, as far as like just Wayne hitting prime Wayne ratio, he hit like an 8.5 in
Yeah.
that song. So album, I'll give like a soft 7 right now. I think like this is definitely going to come down. So, but initial hearing, and I'm like just enjoying listening to Wayne again. Then I'm like, okay. Then I gave it 2 playthroughs already. So soft 7. It's gonna come down with time, I'm sure. But just another add it to the discography,
That's funny because, like I said, that's so far the only positive review that I've ever heard. I say ever heard, but I've heard so far
Mhm.
about the Carter Six. Everything that I've seen online, especially from the people that that I follow, um, nope, it is not it. You
Yeah.
you wrote in the Notion doc, Wheezy F baby and the F is for phenomenal. I saw somebody post Wheezy F baby and the F is for finished
Yeah.
because people are not happy
They
with
ain't
this
fucking with it.
album. They are like, nah, this dude's washed. Especially like I see some in like the black wrestling community. They were posting up like, Carter Six is like, and then it'd be like a wrestling match, kind of like kind of poster of
Mhm.
like some really terrible matches, like the Brothers of Destruction versus Shawn Michaels
Then
and
Triple H.
Triple H,
Yeah,
and
Crown
it's
Jewel.
that
Yeah.
Crown Jewel is like what they're comparing the Carter Six to. So
Dang. Yeah.
it is not being well received. So to hear,
I also say I confirm that I'm biased. Like, I was like,
yeah,
he's one of my Mount Rushmore. He's one of my goats. So it's
yeah.
like I just enjoy hearing him again.
Yeah, I can understand that. Wayne, it's funny because I started to find Wayne's fall off for me personally. It was the Carter Three, and I don't like the Carter Three. I don't think the Carter Three is that good.
Which obviously that's a take.
That's the take. I
Yeah.
understand, but for me, I'm like, if you get Wayne from, well, No Ceilings was fine, but I guess the Drought 2 and before, I'm fine. But anything after that, outside of like No Ceilings, not really doing,
Yeah.
not really messing with Wayne like that.
Yeah.
Like I think it was just at that point, the celebrity-ness of him
Mhm.
just kind of overtook the
Yeah.
actual music, and then obviously he went through a lot of drug and stuff, and
Yeah.
so
Rehab, getting
yeah, so
arrested,
like
gun
I like
charges.
Carter 3, there are some bangers, especially when you're out there partying and stuff like that. But if you actually just like listen it for just like some rapping, it's just like, man, this is great school.
Yeah.
And then that's where like I've heard just clips of part of the Carter 6, but obviously everybody's posting like the most fragrant flagrant
Mhm.
parts of it, like the peanuts to elephants or whatever that song's called.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, what
Which,
is this?
yeah. I'm glad you bring that up because that is produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda, the lead guy and creator of
Hamilton
on Wall Street, which is
Wall
clearly
Street Broadway.
Yeah. Oh, I said Wall Street. Yeah, what the fuck?
Broadway.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. I was thinking New York shit, but either way, clearly that I was just like I told you, I was like, this must have just been like a dream collaboration for
Yeah.
Wayne because it was like, oh yeah, just to have him on the album because it is super feature heavy. I will say that also. But yeah, it's a Nintendo 64 ass beat on that. So I was like literally, so I absolutely agree because I would say, yeah, that for sure the second half of it cools off significantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that when I heard that, it's literally jarring. Like, what the fuck am I listening to? But
we'll see if it. I don't think I'm gonna go and listen to it, but we'll see if it pops up in like just like through osmosis, and, you know, just how like Beyonce albums. Like, you don't need to technically go listen to a Beyonce album. Obviously, it is good to listen to it, especially within sequence. But you know, like, she's so popular that you're just gonna naturally hear
the singles,
just living life. You know, whether you're driving or you're shopping or, you know, you see it in a commercial or whatnot. So we'll see if that happens with Wayne.
No, it's not gonna happen. No. I'll tell you right now, that's not gonna happen. No, you're gonna go have to look this album up and play it.
Okay.
But that was my Percy.
My Percy for the week has to go back to right now. The NBA Finals is happening. We just had Game 1. What, Wednesday? No,
Thursday.
Tuesday.
Thursday. Game 1 of the finals.
Game 1 was Thursday. Yeah. Yes, correct. And Tyrese Halliburton has continued to making a name for himself. You know, they came back, literally took the only lead of the game with 0.3 seconds left after trailing for the entire 49 minutes and 47.7 minutes of the game. And made a game-winning shot to give them up 1-0. But I want to take it back to the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Knicks lost to the Pacers in what was it, Game 6?
Yeah, 6 games.
Game 6. And my question to you, and we've already talked about this before, but this has to guarantee that Jalen Brunson gets his lick back at SummerSlam, right?
Oh yeah, that we're gonna have that match. If anything, it definitely looks like, hey,
especially if Tyrese gets an NBA Finals ring.
The rigged look of the NBA looks a lot more substantial when we had that, you know, face off between them. What pay-per-view was that? When it was Jalen Brunson and Tyrese. It's so funny.
I feel like it was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was. But, you know, a year later, now we're there, you know, in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like you said, gonna have that match. You know,
again, SummerSlam is in New York. It's 2 nights.
I would definitely say, if we're talking about in kayfabe, he's definitely winning. Just because, like, when Tyrese got in that ring the first, I was like, God damn, NBA players are skinny. Yeah. I was like, this man is 6'6", 190 pounds or 200 pounds.
It makes sense for Pat McAfee to be in there. Yeah, the fact that at least he has the
exactly. But I was like, Tyrese is tiny, and like Jalen Brunson, he's the exact opposite of that. He's a shorter James Harden. He's compact and fucking muscle. So it's like, yeah, Jalen Brunson definitely winning that match.
Obviously, they're not going 1-on-1. So what would be
the interference? You gotta have
not the interference, but I guess what would the tag team? I feel like
because you gotta have the wrestlers there. So like, if we're doing this, I mean, might as well put McAfee there. It's Indiana, so McAfee.
No, it's in New York.
Well, I know, but I mean, repping Indiana.
Oh, well, again, so he ain't. And it's in New York. You need a legit.
If you get Reggie wrestler.
Miller, you need a legit wrestler. You can't have Pat in
there. Yeah. Yeah, unless you're obviously just some fun ones. So let's go.
Unless you did it a 6-way.
The first person that came to my mind.
Let's keep it a tag team.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my head was actually Alpha Academy, like Otis and Tozawa with Jalen Brunson. But I was like, that's not big enough, though.
I can see Damian Priest. Yeah. Do you want to put Damian Priest in another celebrity
match? I
was
going to say, he already did that. Like, he probably has one of the best celebrity matches ever.
Yeah.
With Bad Bunny. So that's tough.
Who's another New Yorker?
Oh yeah, he's New Yorker. Zelina Vega's a New Yorker. Who else?
I don't know.
It don't matter.
We're killing time here, but that was just a thought. Like, I feel like this is guaranteed going to happen. We're going to have a tag team match between Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, we can think about it during the episode. We'll get struck by lightning with inspiration.
But we're gonna have that match. It's gonna happen at SummerSlam, and I feel like with everything going on, it was already a given the fact that it was in New York. But it's got to be even more of a given that Jalen Brunson's got to get his lick back. It's not gonna completely soften the wound.
No, it's not.
But hey, at least I got something over this dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going completely out on the L. But good lead in to start the show.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Proud as I was today. Samson, you're my tag team partner.
That's 5 row. Coming off the top row. Let's hurry up.
What up, everyone? Episode 48 of the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast, and we got a pop-up show to go. Money in the Bank, one of the highlights of the year. But I'd say I mentioned it yesterday. I was like, man, this is I was surprised when I was getting the Notion doc ready, and I went to the Wikipedia to get the match card so I could put it in. I was like, damn, we only got 4 matches. Usually, pop-up shows, especially during the Triple H era, have been, at least for the non-major ones, have been 5 matches. And we got 4. And 2 of them, obviously, the Money in the Bank matches. And then you got a tag team match. And then you got the Lyra versus Becky Intercontinental match. And that's it.
Yeah.
So, feels a bit underwhelming, but I mean, at least we're going to get time. But things I care about, it seems like it's primarily going to be those Money in the Bank ladder matches.
Yeah.
The other matches, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I'm thinking, how long is that show? 2 hours? 4 matches?
Should be about 2 hours.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just thinking like lengthwise because you got Worlds Collide right before that. So one is running into the other. So and Worlds Collide starts at 3 today. So and that's a longer card.
That's probably going to finish probably like 5, maybe 4:30, maybe probably 5, I would say.
Yeah.
And then you get like about an hour break, and then they come back with the pre-show, and then start the show probably at 7, I would imagine. But yeah, episode 48, Wrestling Re-Up. Who we got? Is that Stephen Davis from the Commanders? Well, Washington football team history. That's we could throw out a 48 right there on my side.
Nazir Muhammad from the Chicago Bulls. Like, this is a tough number, in sports. And it's like he's the only 48 to win a championship in the NBA. So
hey, that's a fact.
Yeah. And his pedigree with the San Antonio Spurs. There you go. So that's 48. There's some other stuff in here, but yeah, it's a tough number. But like we said this before, it's gonna be harder, the higher the numbers go for sure.
Oh, for sure. Like I know I gotta look up 49 because I can't think of a Washington Commander off the top of the head. Maybe like Bobby Mitchell. I don't know. Well, I'll come up with it when we get there. But let's get into the show in the week. We got a bunch of pop-up go home shows for obviously Monday night for WWE side, and then AEW had the first 4-hour free television
Fighter Fest
wrestling show, and they're gonna do it again next week for what is it called? Summer Block?
Yeah, I forget. Oh no, Grand Slam. It's Grand Slam Mexico. Is that not next week?
I think it's called Summer Block.
Summer. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Will Ospreay said it very passionately.
Oh, okay.
During one of his promos earlier this week. But yeah, WWE go home shows. But before we get into any of the shows, we got to start with a bit of time jump news because this was announced on Sunday on Twitter. We were in person when we found this out, and we were stunned just like everyone else when this news came out.
Yeah.
But R-Truth has it released, but technically his contract is not being picked up. He is not being extended, and he is going to be out or currently leaving WWE along with Carlito, we find out as well. And then Valhalla as well has been released again for the second time. But obviously the major one was R-Truth. Ron Killings is no longer with the WWE, and that sent shockwaves through the wrestling industry and WWE apparently as well inside the locker room, as it was very surprising, stunning, and morale is kind of taking a bit of a hit.
Yeah. It's kind of like the effect is kind of like the bomb when like the Luka trade happened, and it's like that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
because you just think he's like, I guess, untouchable in that way. You just figure he'll call his own shot, and we'll get that go home from him.
Yeah,
but the fact that for all intents and purposes, like his last match is with John Cena, but it ends up being JC Mateo very unceremoniously, which we'll get into on Raw. It was actually his last match, but clearly they want us to just scrub that from our memory. So if you think about it like that, then it's like, dang, well, I know they said it on the Masked Man show. It's like, well, you could actually gave us some storyline, or at least made it like career versus the title, or something. Because it was strange that we just called it, as a non-title match. Because in the moment, I was like, obviously, we were thinking it's like, there's no way he's winning. So you could just.
But my logic was, I was like, if it is a non-title match, and so like for him to get that win, it's like, okay. Yeah, get that one, even if it's over shenanigans. But I'm like, okay, but you got to get. That means he's in line for at least a world title shot.
The very next challenger. He would be for sure.
If he gets the pin on John Cena. So obviously that's not what's happened. That didn't play out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's also part of the shockingness for me because I remember I was sitting out here on the porch and you had went inside to go get some water and I was just scrolling through Reddit and then I saw it posted on one of those wrestling subreddits. I was like, what? And I had to go on Twitter to actually go like find to see if I could find the tweet, and then you just come across a whole bunch of wrestlers just kind of giving their salutes, and then you come across the actual tweet. I'm like, wow, like this actually happened.
Yeah.
And we just saw the guy, like you said, face John Cena on Saturday night's main event. Who knew that would be like, yeah, this would be the final time. Like they were preparing, they were low key almost trying to prepare us for this situation. And so you just wish you got like a kind of the same thing with Mercedes and, especially Mercedes because now Trinity's back. But with Mercedes, you're just leaving.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, like I understand, but you wish you get to have a proper goodbye.
Yeah.
And not just being like, oh, I'm out. And, you just kind of, it's kind of a family affair.
Yeah.
And so just to have the abruptness is very shocking. And then obviously R-Truth is loved by everyone, like universally. Like we talk about this guy just being a comedy act, but man, like this, like they said in The Masked Man, this dude was like the only consistent comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this dude never missed. And even if it was just popping up in like the last minute of a scene, it's just, man, you could guarantee R-Truth could give you comedy. And he made the 24/7 championship fun for however long it could be and everything of that nature. So, and then just having that locker room presence, and just, keeping morale up and just keeping everybody. I've always seen R-Truth across everyone's social media.
Yeah.
Just joking around. And so, I remember R-Truth debuting back before the first time before he got released when he was K-Quick and tag team with Road Dogg. So it's just crazy to see it end. But, I always ask him, like, bro, like with anybody, what happens when you reach a certain age bracket, especially within WWE? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens when you get into your 40s and when you get into your 50s and things of that nature? And now you even talk about it when you talk about the younger ones, when you got Evolve and NXT and all of these other development systems that they got. Look, they just promoted 3 or 4 women.
Yeah.
That have only been on NXT for about like 8 months to the main roster. And then you got a whole new batch like right up the rear just to kind of reshuffle the entire development division. So it's a cyclical thing. It feels very crude. And again, you don't imagine anybody have like a lifetime contract for any job. But
I just figured like we all thought like, yeah, he's going to retire.
You rather him retire than just get fired.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that also like for us to hear that it's specifically his contract not being renewed, like that means there's still time there. But clearly it's like, all right, well, we don't got nothing created for you. So it's kind of like when I think about like in the military when it's like everybody knows you're about to get out and you have like your leave stored up. So you go on what it's called terminal leave. So you're just gone for 2 months, even though you're technically still in the military.
Yeah.
So it's like R-Truth is still going to be getting paid for however long he's not on screen. But it's like, I think we just thought like he was going to roll into being a producer immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no way he wasn't going to be backstage with like Jamie Noble and those guys and Abyss and everything. So yeah, super shocking.
Being assistant to the general manager
exactly.
to Ava at NXT would be dope.
See, that would be amazing. Like that's some booking right there. Like give like the general, like imagine general manager R-Truth. Oh my god.
To the general manager.
True. But if he was actually the authority figure and we had to acknowledge him that way, like that would have
been great.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
And he was just Dwight, like you said. Like I will say the one thing that made me chuckle at this whole thing was like, obviously without getting ahead of ourselves, MJF joining the Hurt Syndicate last week. I saw like the top comment was, man, I'm so proud to be part of the Nation of Domination with all of y'all and Owen Hart here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like R-Truth is gonna show up and just join them. I was like, yeah, that would be cool too. But
the one thing I wish with R-Truth, especially now that like we knew like this is like he's no longer with the company, I was like, man, I wish we got like one bit more of like a serious R-Truth.
Yeah.
Like just, even if it was like the last John Cena run, that's why like, I thought like something was happening there because I'm like, okay, that was a pretty good promo that he cut the week before. And I'm like, there was a little bit more of like some seriousness from R-Truth that felt like an actual like ambitious promo rather than just like a goofing around promo.
Yeah, he hasn't been serious since like what is it, Capital Punishment 2011?
Yeah, like, when he was like smoking a cigarette and everything like that. It's just like you don't probably need to go that far, but just a little bit of like
Hey, you do. We
a little
remember
bit
that.
more sensible R-Truth, and maybe even like a U.S. title kind of run,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
not even not winning it, but I mean, obviously it would have been dope if he stayed around. But one of the mid card titles, just
For sure. He
making
definitely
a
could have
run
did
at
that.
it at a like, hey man, I'm 53 years old and I don't know how much time I got left, type of shit,
Yeah.
and ended up trying to be at least serious for like 1 month or
Yeah.
2 months. You know what I'm saying?
Pulling a Jeff Jarrett in AEW, basically when he
Yeah.
was going for the world title, and we're like, bro, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, man, that was very surprising, shocking, and sad. But they mentioned it on Masked Man. They were like, R-Truth is pretty much, especially with the response that he got, is basically going to be making dumb amounts of money just on the circuit, just making
Yeah.
appearances and stuff like that. So I mean, R-Truth would be fine, and you never know. Like there could be an opportunity for him to come back in like a backstage manner. Maybe they might hear this episode and put him on assistant general manager.
I was gonna say immediately what they said on the Masked Man was what would be great for him to just go over to TNA, like you said, assistant to the director authority. So have Santino and R-Truth running the show.
That would be wild.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a wild show, especially when they got to find their savior to get their championship back.
Mhm.
Carlito being released. That one was funny. His response was like, "Yo, I was stealing money from here."
Exactly. I wasn't doing nothing.
Because we were like, bro, came back, looked like he was in great shape, and
Mhm.
then he wrestled a couple times, but they were just kind of like, getting the ring rust off. It felt like, and then all of a sudden, you just see him hanging around with Judgment Day, just making funny quips and stuff
and
like
taking
that.
the finishers from people when they're doing run-ins. Basically, he became the new JD effectively, where JD was getting his block knocked off all the time.
Yeah.
When he was first a prospect, but him just like coming in like when that whole like live drama is starting, and he's like, bro, that's cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? But at least he's taking it well. I'm sure R-Truth is taking it well. I mean, he knows what was going to happen. I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but I guess Carlito, he ended up winning a championship over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a Puerto Rican championship from I forget the actual name of it, but yeah, he immediately got a belt.
Mhm.
So, and then Valhalla has also got released.
Mhm.
That one was a little bit a lukewarm response just because people go into her past and like, oh, she's a MAGA supporter, or she said some right wing stuff, and so people are like,
Whatever,
and stuff like that.
politics, yeah.
But it seems like this is just the beginning. Might be a few more. People have noticed that Miz
There always is. There's
and
always comes and
cleared
waves.
out his references on of WWE off his Twitter, at least. I think it's still there on his Instagram. Gunther did the exact same thing as well, but can't imagine Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther ain't going nowhere though.
You never know.
That'd be cool to see him go to New Japan.
AEW would be an interesting one. I think he'd be great on AEW.
Yeah, for sure.
He would definitely fit their style.
I would say because he's a wrestler.
Yeah,
like, he likes the match shit. So.
And versus like Osprey, that'd be dope.
Oh yeah. Oh, him just I go love because they've had that match before. Back in the day. Back
I'm
when
sure.
he was still Walter and he was a chubby guy.
Yeah,
he's used to those chops.
But yeah, man, it's a sad time to see anybody get released. Especially shocking to see someone like R-Truth get released, and again, hopefully not that there's not more coming on along the way, but you never know with WWE, and especially under TKO ownership. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully nothing traumatic happens or not devastating, but I'm using really grandiose words for just
unfortunate business
circumstances happen. But let's get into this Raw recap. Let's get into the flagship store. These Raws, and we were talking about it before the show, and we've been saying it for the last few weeks, and I feel like the sentiment, especially with the R-Truth release, is really high in light in this, but WWE just felt like it's been on cruise control the last few weeks, or at least month and a half since WrestleMania. And the builds have been, it's all right, but you never really feel like you're missing anything these weeks. Even me, I'm just like, man, effort reflects attitude. And attitude is that, hey, there's a lot of competition on TV. We just jammed through the pit. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching Common Side Effects. Like, there's a lot of good TV out there. There's a lot of competition out there. And so, hey, and then you also got basketball finals. Yeah. And so, like, if you ain't meeting the criteria, if you're not reaching those heights of those other things, that says a little bit more about you than it says about me, I would say. So, What did you think about Raw this week? What was your things?
Raw was cool. For me, it was like you said, it's cruise control. The thing that I had up here, because I'm biased, last week on the pod, I gave you my booking for the Finn Balor Revenge Tour, and Liv just stepped on it immediately. Like this episode, she was like, "Moody, I heard you exactly like everything that I laid out." She's like, "I know what you're doing, Finn. Like, you just bring Roxanne around, think she's gonna be all this." Like, no, I got my eye on you, and it's not even her that I don't trust, basically. Or she didn't say that, but it was loaded when she was saying that's not like the person that I'm like distrustful of.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, it's gonna be great. She's gonna help Dom maintain his reign just like you would, and she's gonna bring back the women's championship, which I thought was nuts that you're like, yo, Liv is a former champion. Like, you don't think she wants that belt? Like, I would think, Slaughter and IC, but like, that's saying a lot from Finn. But that's why I had that as primo. Just cause she was like, I see exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then not for nothing, like she did lose the qualifier, which I had the qualifier as a mid, and her calling it out as a primo separate. But it was actually Stephanie Vacher, like one of those, like you said, 8-month NXT.
You can talk so.
Too hot right now. Which that match was great in its own right too. It was Steph getting the pin on Ivy Nile, and with Liv, just looking out of sorts since she's been back, and I'm pretty sure it is like this whole Dom cheating on her possibly thing, like
her possibly losing her
distrustful, being distrustful of Finn, like all of that is just on her mind right now.
Yeah,
she's only trusting Raquel as of right now, still calling her sister and stuff. So
that's you got to look at it, Raquel sideways a little bit. I feel like too.
Well, Raquel giving her the updates. That's what she said. She's been locked in. They tight. You know what I'm saying? They're tag team champions. So.
We'll see what happens as the storyline progresses. I'll give you the credit. I'll say that was the interesting part as far as the storyline advancement. Like I already said it last week. I'm like, all right, I think I had it probably like mid rising. And I was like, I'm getting my popcorn, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
You're definitely intrigued to see how this goes. I'm a little concerned that it might just be the same kind of thing that just happened with Rhea getting kicked out with Liv, and so it's just like, hopefully they add a little bit of variety to it, rather than like kind of repeating a storyline. But either way, like it's still an interesting storyline. I'm intrigued by, so I'll give it. It just crosses the line into primo.
Yeah, I say game recognized game, and Hussey's recognized Hussey. Like that's what that is. That's the way that I saw that. That's why she's calling it out immediately. So I would hope, I agree with you that it's not exactly the same. I didn't write this on here, but I think it's just a quick mention. CM Punk's promo, because that started the show.
Yeah.
And basically just refocusing his character, talking about, I want the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah. I like
title.
that. I like that. CM Punk Cut's always a great promo. Very strong and passionate, and he has some a lot of good quips. He has some good lines against John Cena in that promo. I do like that he tells you his intentions and his focus. Like he's pretty clear about it. And so the fact that he's like, yo, I'm gonna get that gold, I'm like, yeah, I'm down to see that. Like it's funny because again, when he first came back, I'm like, all right, I get there's a lot of CM Punk fan hype and that's people's like favorite wrestlers. Initially I was like a little not skeptical, but I was like, all right, like we'll see how it goes. Like, doesn't have the best ring work since he's come back because he's an older guy. But again, the way that WWE's been using him and just kind of keeping him fresh as far as like ring work has been really done well, and just letting him lean into his strengths, which is talking on the mic and kind of getting stories over. And so at this point, I've kind of like, I guess you could say 180. Just like, yeah, I'd like to see CM Punk at least. See, I told you I booked this. I was like, if CM Punk won the title off of John Cena at the end of the year, and then you got Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the title, that'd be dope.
And then that's the turn. Yeah, there you go.
So, but either way, just seeing Punk actually gun for the world title would be fun to see. Now, is it the one that John Cena got, or is it the one that Jay got? I don't know. Obviously, you probably want,
the Cena one. That's
the
one of his
Cena
biggest
one.
rivals.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's good that he's focusing his sights on gold.
Yeah.
I like that. So I'll keep that. I'll put that mid rising.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have that on the doc, but the other thing that I had as a primo on here was Seth's vision beating down Jay and Sammy, and immediately, like, because they come out earlier on and like have their basically declaration of war, like on the show.
Yeah.
And it just immediately reminded me of like Sammy. What was that like? Right after Mania, when he calls out Seth, like talking about you're doing the bloodline like all over again. And just telling him like, yo, like you're no different than Roman. And seeing that come to fruition basically this week without getting ahead of ourselves. But him, like, I didn't think that this was actually gonna be a clean finish. So this went exactly how I thought it would go. Because Seth comes out and of course you got to stomp everybody out and just end with super spears, and I don't think we got a tsunami, but there was like 3 super spears. Maybe Sammy got one.
I feel like there was.
Sammy got one.
Yeah,
okay.
Tsunami, because I feel like they held somebody's legs up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was holding. Yeah, Braun was holding his legs down. Yeah, but and I'm just loving Paul Heyman still. Like I said, him just being this like Gollum type, now grabbing the ankles of people and actually interfering in the matches. So
I love Sammy.
Great.
He's got a gift now of him dancing and whatnot. And it's really funny because he was like, you could put this song to anything. And then, people, started putting like some wild songs on him, just doing his little Jey Uso dance. I don't know if you saw that gif.
No, I haven't.
There's a gif of Sammy just kind of like dances to Jay's music, but it's like very just, he's having
very
fun.
White guy.
Yeah, he's having fun. He's having fun. But man, he's a little too like, oh, this Seth winning the Money in the Bank and then winning the goddamn championship, it'd be the worst thing to ever happen to this company. And we got to stop that from happening. I'm like, bro, shut up.
Shut up. He's being Kevin Owens right now. I think like exactly what Kevin Owens was doing with like the bloodline and shit. That's exactly where he's saying. He's calling it out from the beginning because, hey, it's gone pretty accurately to like,
I feel like he's just big, so over the top about it. I'm just like, because you're making it seem like it's going to be the destruction of the WWE, and we'll go into a whole new era of like, it's like, oh, this is like the NWO or some shit like that, and it's like, yo, relax, man, relax.
All right, but yeah, we definitely support Sammy. Like, just obviously, like he's one of the fan favorites, and I'm pretty sure, or not even pretty sure, I would call it right now that Sammy beats Seth for the title. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's a different person. But like either way, Sammy is winning the title before he's done with WWE. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's gonna be. I could see that being like the Cody story of this year. Maybe if Seth wins it, like maybe he wins it at Mania, like just before Mania, and then we got a whole year of Seth as champion, and then Sammy gets him. So because you gotta if you're gonna have the Vision be the bloodline, like he's calling them out, then they need to be around for a while and they need to be dominant. You know what I mean? So whether they're tag team champions between Braun and Bronson or getting the IC title, there needs to be some more gold. You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, it'd definitely be dope to see each of them hold like an Intercontinental and like a US championship. And then that means they would have to at least kind of be on both shows.
Floating,
but tag team championships would be good. Yeah. Obviously, they would definitely be difficult as hell to get off to lose those titles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they can easily take out the New Day right now.
Oh, yeah.
At this point,
they could just squash the New Day right now.
So, what else we got?
Quick as a cat. My mids. Oh, actually, I already said this, but Steph, qualifying for Money in the Bank, and the other one that I had just because it was like surprising, I guess, was El Grande defeating CM Punk and AJ Styles in the
so CM Punk
Money in the Bank qualifier.
That whole promo in the beginning to talk about, oh yeah, I'm gonna win the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Do this, that, and the third. Do this, do that. Can't even get past step one.
Not even.
Can't even get past step one. You let this fake ass Lucha Libre.
Yeah. The big American.
Go out and get this dub against y'all. That's wild. That's wild. Chad Gable, shout out. You got 2 matches in one night. You got your World Collision match, and then you got Money in the Bank.
Yeah, pulling double duty.
So shout out to him. Do you think it gives him more of a chance that El Grande might win this? We can hold that for the predictions.
Yeah,
we'll hold that for the predictions.
Yeah, but I would immediately say no. But Lord have mercy.
You got some shake here. You got Gunther tries to intimidate Jay.
Yeah.
Like, how many times?
I really liked it though, just because it's another. Because this is their biggest rivalry in recent memory, just between these two. So I like the fact that like Gunther is like still reminding us, like, yeah, you beat me, but like I'm still gunning for you. I still don't fuck with you. I'm gonna chop your chest off. So just as like, I like it was a nuanced approach of like, basically, I like the fact that you're a fighting champion. You beat me. I'll give you that. Congratulations. But this whole thing with you getting involved with Seth, his vision, and like Sammy putting yourself on the line, I couldn't thank you more because you're just making it easy for me. So he's like, that has no business. That's not the business of the world heavyweight champion. And it's like, hey, we see the difference in, their title reigns, their ethos, as wrestlers. So
he's right in that sense. It is not his business.
Yeah, he's like, that ain't got shit to do with me. He's like, you're the champion. People need to come to you to step to you as representing the heavyweight division or the top of the card here. So go ahead, get yourself injured, buddy.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. So yeah, I just like that. And also Jay had the appropriate response too, because he kind of cooked him right there and was like, 3 letters, 1 word, tap. So I was like, hey, got your ass. So but yeah, that was a quick like 2-minute segment when he was backstage.
All right.
That's what I had for Raw. Did you have anything else that's not on here?
Not really. It said it was a cool show. Nothing really stood out. Nothing was too surprising. I guess you could say Steph, but again, like Liv has her own kind of storyline going on, and Ivy's there to kind of take the pin.
Yeah.
So.
Last thing is that just to back up Finn's point, Roxanne did help Judgment Day beat the War Raiders also in their tag team match. So
yeah,
still in kayfabe of the Judgment Day, she's still trustworthy, at least as far as Finn's seen her. As far as she's been put on TV. So
yeah,
but that's the last bit. But yeah, that's it for Raw.
Yeah, cool. Let's head right next door. Get into this bodega, NXT.
Me personally, the primo I had is the best wrestling that was on the show, which was Miles Bourne beating Charlie Dempsey in a rounds match, which is Heritage Cup rules.
Yeah,
and they went 5 rounds, and Miles Bourne being able to win his way out of No Quarter Catch Crew, which I thought was funny in a vacuum, and Corey Graves called out on commentary, which is like, if y'all are just training together and you're like generally faces, why do you need to earn your way out? That doesn't make sense. Like, what's holding you back from like, I'm leaving.
Losing it, bro.
I'm leaving.
He's losing it.
Yeah.
That's what it is, bro. Like, it's not the same No Quarter Cash Crew.
Yeah. Had a lot of changeover for sure.
So, and Miles Bourne he's a peacock. You gotta let him fly. He's not trying to let him fly. So, interesting storyline. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm definitely seeing the. You're definitely gonna. It feels like. It feels weird to say organic because it's a storyline that it's but it's working. I feel like where Miles Bourne, it could definitely be a Sami Zayn
for sure fan favorite.
Fan favorite especially coming out of, especially if you're able to continue to kind of build upon it. Like the snowball effect, I could think could get really high by the time he gets to the main roster.
I think that's a good call. It's funny. I held this take so we could start the show. I know you agree, but bro, I need you to have a better finisher than a drop kick. That's its finisher right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need more from that. Like, he's still generic moveset,
Yeah. He's still got to unlock some
swag. Yeah. He needs swag bad. Like,
hey,
seriously.
This is where you find it, man. This
Yeah.
is where you find it. They're probably going to get into a little bit of a rivalry, for the next couple months or whatnot. So,
yeah. I mean, No Quarter Catch Crew.
A good working partner than to have Charlie Dempsey.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it was a primo, because it was the best. Like, clearly chemistry on mat. Like, they're both great wrestlers. So, but yeah, as far as No Quarter Catch Crew, my thought is, they're gonna have to recruit somebody. You're either gonna recruit or break up the faction. That's one of the two, because they've always been 4 people. So, but that was the primo. My other mids, a lot of this was mid. Just continuing the heat for the four-way match at Worlds Collide for the North American title.
Mm-hmm.
Laredo Kid, Phoenix, and Javon Evans versus Ethan Page. Honestly, not much to talk about because it was just talking, just building it. But I guess I'm looking forward to it. So
No, yeah. And Ethan Page, again, he's good in either capacity. I feel like either as a chaser or holding the title. One of the, I feel like, rare cases where you see somebody that's just good at just being an on-screen character.
He's ambidextrous as a character.
Yeah, where like again, either he's chasing or he's got the belt. He's really good at just talking in the mic from either of those perspectives, and so we'll see how it plays out. I think the North American title's on the line.
Yeah.
So definitely gonna stay between one of them. It'd be nice to see Javon Evans get some gold, but would you do that on a free YouTube show? Hey, if you want people to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And that probably might be the highlight of the show.
Or Phoenix. Phoenix would be dope too.
Yeah, but he's not going to NXT.
No, but it floats. Like Dom he's a 2-time champion.
Yeah.
And, he was on the main roster the whole time. He came down to NXT for, challenges, but that was it. So that could definitely work with Phoenix. But either way, we're not doing predictions for that. So it doesn't matter. JC Jane, her celebration, and getting a shot of basically the entire, NXT women's champion division, the ones gunning for that title. And really the headline being it's the debut of Mariah May.
Yeah, that's the headline pretty much of the show that came out of it. Was Mariah May making her official WWE debut. Kaz called it months ago when it was like just on AEW, where it's like this storyline feels suspicious.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, I'm hearing through the grapevine that she might be done. Her contract might be up and she might be making her way. And then sure enough.
Yeah, that's one of his strikes that he gets from me. Because like I said, when he be talking about, oh, he don't know shit. Like, no, you be knowing shit.
He literally said on the pod that he was like, I don't be knowing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing.
Because he didn't even say it through the grapevine. He's just like, I have a strong feeling that she's going to WWE. And I'm like, nigga, that's cap. You know shit. Like, all that, like, literally right after the Hollywood ending match. But yeah, she's here. And, she said that the women's division just got a lot more glamorous. She is the glamour. So the next thought is like, okay, what's her name gonna be? Because that actually is her name, Mariah May. So it's like, is it gonna be Mariah April or like Mariah August or Mariah maybe? Like,
I feel like
Mariah, yes.
I mean, they have had the capacity of just like, hey, like they did it with Jeff Cobb. They were like, oh my God, this is Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb, one of the hottest free agents. And then next week they start calling him Jason Mateo.
Yeah.
When Ricky Starks got here, they didn't call him Ricky Starks. They just like, oh my God. And they were like, you know who I am.
Yeah.
You know why I'm here. And then next week you find out his name is Ricky Saints after he signs the contract. So maybe there's the potential of having her change her name to something that WWE can trademark.
I think if she's not Mariah May, then we need to just have that segment, right? Because there's no way that this random wrestler came here without Ava knowing and just declared herself in the division. You know what I'm saying? Ava knew. So it's like, and this is clearly, and you put her on literally a pedestal above the other women's division. So it's like, we should have that signing if that's the case.
I hope they keep her name.
I mean, I think
it works. I think, especially when you think about like future matchups where it's like Mariah May versus Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, Mariah May versus Rhea Ripley. Like, though, that just sounds a lot better than whatever. I can't think of a name that you would replace Mariah with. Maybe it's like MM something. I don't know, because you know how they did with JC Mateo. But either way, hopefully they keep her name. But new debut. You know where I put debuts and stuff.
Yeah,
mid.
Yeah, exactly. Especially without being physical, and it's on just an episode instead of being on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
like that's how you make somebody feel bigger too. Like, because you could have had her just on the next NXT pay-per-view. I got struck by inspiration. I don't know, Megan, Mariah. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Let's just keep the alliteration though, for sure.
Yeah.
Also mid on here, second best, actual wrestling on the card to me was the main event. Trick, ended up defending his title the TNA World Championship versus Mike Santana. Which this was. Did you actually watch this match? It was about
No.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I missed it.
it was really good because they didn't hold back in the sense of like, I really believe like the promo from last week when Mike Santana is like, you know, I'm from the streets, you gonna feel me.
Mhm.
Like they just went straight to striking. That's all it was. They were just there was no rest to oats. You know what I'm saying? Like let these guys work. But as you would predict, it's on NXT. Trick retains, but due to interference from AJ Francis and another guy, I can't remember his name, but he had pink hair, also on TNA, and I guess they don't fuck with. You know,
Yeah.
I knew AJ Francis and Mike Santana had a rivalry, but I forget who the other guy is, but he'd be rolling with him. But yeah, he gave him a choke slam on the announcer's desk and didn't cave in or anything because you know you got to strip off the top, you know,
Yeah.
pay for it to collapse. But he ate that and then you know just walked into a trick shot knee after they put him back in the ring. Good match. We're still in the reign of Trick. Like I said, I'm standing by that. AJ is going to bring it. That's my prediction. AJ is bringing it back to TNA.
You think AJ Francis is going to be the savior of TNA?
Not AJ Francis. Think of the other AJ.
Oh, AJ.
That's what
okay.
AJ Styles. The
Hey,
foundation.
clarify. Gotta clarify.
I think when I say AJ and TNA, I understand. I did.
We
just say-
literally just talked about
I know.
AJ
I
Francis.
give you that. But still, there's one AJ when it comes to TNA. Seriously. But yeah, that was my.
That would
mids.
suck. I would not like AJ Lee, not AJ Lee, AJ Styles to win it, just for the fact that he's a WWE guy.
He's a
Like,
TNA guy.
I mean, like right now, he's signed to WWE.
Sure.
So it'd be no different than your point of all these AAA guys not winning any of these WWE titles or whatever, because it's like, yeah, WWE is going to be the big brother in this situation. So
Yeah.
like, even though AJ Styles has the history and the legacy tied to being a TNA guy, currently right now, you're under contract with WWE. So just to have the TNA title float to another WWE guy,
That's not how they're gonna view him. That's the point. It's like
sure,
that's not like
I can understand that. I'm just thinking outside of it. I'm just
Sure.
like, you're still keeping it.
But
to
as
a
fans,
WWE
we don't care.
contract signed guy.
As fans, we don't care about their.
I wouldn't see that
contracts.
as the savior.
I mean, they haven't seen him in forever, also. So
That's
it's like
fair.
you know, that's what I was booking. You know, that's his last run, or like not the last thing that he does, but that would be his last TNA run.
Yeah.
You know, it's like holy shit, it's AJ again. You hear phenomenal. Come on.
Unless like he's like, I quit.
Yeah,
WWE,
and then goes
and
to
then
TNA
TNA
or
or
something.
something like
Yeah,
that.
which he's not going to do that. Yeah, so
I was like, I make way too much.
exactly. Are you crazy? Like he's not doing that. But that's where I think the relationship is going. Or if we were to just call a shot on like, all right, who could do this? And like, granted, you know, obviously we're both not as tapped in
Yeah.
with TNA as we should be. Like who the actual like a TNA guy like
Mhm.
challenger would be. But that's not like obviously an old head or hasn't won it already. You know, so that would be the best move for now. I think. My shake is basically the new blood that we got coming into NXT to replace some of that, you know, women's division. We got Tyra May Steele,
Mm-hmm.
the LFG winner, winning an NXT contract. She had her debut match with Ariana Grace, and it's funny because I did read on the Bleach Report. She beat her, by the way. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah.
But on the Bleach Report, they were like, it's funny that you know WWE changed her name considering she's a legit, you know, Olympic gold medalist. She's only the third, you know, in the company's history. So you would think it would bring more juice to just use her regular name. Like Kurt Angle's Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
So I understand the fact that like she would be lesser known, but like it's not like people knew who Kurt Angle was back in '96 Olympics. You know what I'm saying? Just in a vacuum off the Olympics, we knew him because he came to WWE and he kept his name.
Yeah.
So I just I
think part of it is trademarking, but then also like sometimes like I think I don't blame a wrestler for not wanting to use their name and like switch it up. Like even in the case of like Ricky Starks, right? Going to Ricky Saints, it's like sometimes just from like an acting perspective, you kind of want to have that alternative person that you kind of like tap into rather than thinking that like, okay, like this is just an exaggerated version of me. Like I'm actually putting myself into another character rather than turning the notch up on myself.
For sure.
So
no, there's definitely something to that for sure.
It's all dependent on the person. I don't mind it, but I can understand like sometimes like, man, you should have just stuck with your name. Like we just said it with Mariah May. Like if Mariah May is your name, it's a good name.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you know, it works from a wrestling standpoint. Might as well keep it, but like Jeff Cobb, I can understand changing from Jeff Cobb to Jason Mateo just from the fact that like, okay, like I can still be Jeff Cobb in the sense of how it worked, but from a character's perspective, maybe Jason Mateo allows me to be a little bit more different than what I naturally would be.
Yeah.
So
And just looked it up real quick. She has a triple alliteration on her name. Her name is Mariah May Mead. So maybe it's just Mariah Mead. She just combined her actual last name instead of her middle name. And I don't have it on here, but definitely a shake. Jasper Troy backstage. Or actually it was Obafemi that was backstage with Ava, and Jasper Troy walks up to him and basically, just giving us that face off again. And like Oba not giving him respect, but just being like, I guess in a sense, like, obviously you want the title and you laid me out last week and I ain't going nowhere. So yeah, come see me, whatever. And that's clearly like, they're just giving us that framing that, Jasper Troy, they are the exact same size. You know what I'm saying? If not, Jasper actually being slightly bigger just because of height, but he's got a good look to him. He definitely looks intimidating and everything. So sure, give me some more of that. And you can't start off better than like challenging for the championship, right?
Yeah. What I want to call out, I probably have this as shake, but I like the name Vanity Project.
Yeah, that's a good name.
With the
Swipe
Right.
Right.
Boys, yeah, with Swipe Right, got them 12-year-olds still hiring underage children to wrestle, but I would like to see them like as Ethan Page's like
they're
faction.
understudies.
Yeah, like that would be dope, especially with all Ethan Ego Page, like that just seems like a very symbiotic relationship that would kind of go well, especially if like Ethan Page wins the NXT championship at some point, and then has 3 other people. Swipe Right can win the tag team championships, and then whoever that third person is, I wasn't familiar with their name, but obviously you win the North American championship. They keep all the gold. Vanity Project, and then they do all this kind of like Edge and Christian, just kind of like very kind of
see, look at you, you're replacing my guys already. This is what I was talking about.
They doing it themselves, bro. Like WWE, they know what they're doing.
Of course, I'm just pointing out that's exactly what you say about my other guys, and I'm like, it comes in waves. Deadly. So I mean, but yeah, they look good. I like their look, wearing like just the college, douchebag look with polos and khakis and Dockers on. Clearly, they're on their college's crew team.
Anything else from the bodega?
Nah, that's it.
All right, let's move over to the coffee shop where we had history made for the first time ever. We had a 4-hour regular free televised wrestling show in AEW Fighter Fest. And we're going to have another 4-hour show next week with what they call like AEW, I think, Summer Block.
Okay.
Did that show start at like 8 or 7?
Ooh.
Because I feel like it had to start at 7 because I can't imagine having that show finish at midnight.
Yeah, you would start it early. Yeah, that's got to start at 7.
I hope it started at 7. But what did you think about Fighter Fest?
It's funny because this is a deep show. I need to bring up the Bleach Report, but immediately the first thing I got is, at least as far as the primo is concerned, one thing, it was Kenny Omega, the 4-way for the international title.
Yeah.
Him retaining versus Claudio, Lince Dorado, and Brody King. Lince Dorado was fucking amazing in this match. Like he did the rope walking better than Rey Fenix in this match. Like he was almost my champion of the week. I was trying to find a champion for a situation where, because he was scorching hot, like he was on his hot run, did like literally walked like half of the ring on the ropes, like started on like the hard cam side, walked like long across the side, and then did a springboard.
Yeah.
And,
crazy.
Yeah, insane. And then immediately like comes back in the ring, gets hit with the one-wing angel. So I wanted to like, I don't know what that championship was going to be, but it was like for you to be scorching hot and then for it to just end abruptly. Like I was trying to figure that out. But Brody King was amazing as the base of this match too. He got busted open. He's always super, stiff with guys, but I thought it was cool. He's the one that got busted open unintentionally. Claudio just still showing us he's still the goddamn Swift Superman.
Yeah.
Doing the giant swing on, he can do it on anybody. Like, but Brody King also, anybody 300 plus, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, we know, but like, for you to get 10 full rotations in on him also is like, oh,
The workout routine.
exactly.
is
Like,
crazy.
that's what, if anything, like, I would say the Death Riders got something to it where it's like, yo, y'all should have somebody, whoever those heels are, like just backstage, like coming into AEW, like I would definitely be wanting to like get down with them.
Mhm.
Like they said that they're supposed to be like remolding these people. It's like, yeah, like you said, this workout routine, Pack is 40 with a 8-pack, you know, kind of like Ben Balor, him and Phil Balor are exactly the same. Moxley, 4-time champion. Marina Shafir is probably the scariest woman in AEW, even though she doesn't work like ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just definitely like the best thing on the card for me. And then them just confirming it to us directly after he retains Okada.
Yeah, Okada, Omega,
Yeah.
5,
Yep.
all in. Winner take all.
Yeah, not unification. So that means somebody's gonna be wearing 2 belts. So,
Fair.
yeah.
That's fair. I mean,
yeah,
if they had 2 shows, I can understand it. Like, at least, like, if it was kind of, like, organized in a WWE way, I still think there's a little bit too many titles, but I think you could have, at least there's rule differences with one of the titles, right?
Yeah.
So at least there's a bit of nuance within the titles that there is a reason to kind of go after one title after another. So I'm fine with them not unifying them, but at least having them on, you know, somebody's going to be 2-belt, you know, Omega, or a 2-belt, you know, Okada. So that's going to be a fun match.
Yeah, the difference is International Championship, well, it's in its name, where that's the title that gets like defended on like other shows, like New Japan, if you were to do that or something like that. And the Continental is so that gives you a disadvantage if somebody from another promotion is, you know, challenging you.
Yeah.
And the Continental has an obvious disadvantage that you have to win a tournament. You still have to like maintain through the Continental, you know, round robin tournament.
Yeah.
And win the final to, you know, still be the champion, retain the championship. So that's obviously a disadvantage for that champion. But that title has no interference attached to it, like a sort of honorable thing. Like there can't be any interference. And there hasn't been to this point also, which is a good thing. So they're maintaining. The next best thing on this for me was, I mean, we got a lot of like debuts or just new people in the wrestling world, but got her name properly. It is Tekla. You don't say the H, so it's not Tekla. It's Tekla. But she beat Lady Frost. That was my highest mid that I had for the show. She looked great. Like she was so intense, like in her character. Like she just feels like a finished product already. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, no notes, like from like at all. Like, and it's dope to like we said last week. Both of us have no clue about her. We just know that she's from Stardom, and that's it. So it's like for her to just, you know, give us like a very memorable first match. I like the spot where she basically does like the Tajiri like side
the
tarantula
and
like lays in the ropes.
That's always one of my favorite kind of like submissions, even though you can't hold it in.
Yeah, because it's an illegal move.
It still looks dope when they do that.
Yeah, Tajiri. Yeah, like Tajiri would do it. That was so fucking sick. I was like, yeah, that really looks like
bro.
Yeah, the
green. You do the mist and everything. Yeah, I still fuck with
the Japanese buzzsaw. Yeah, hell yeah, that was my guy.
I did learn about Tekla's last appearance on Stardom, where she was like she was in a stipulation match where kind of similar to like Becky Lynch Lyra situation. I forget the exact stipulation, but I think if she lost, which she did, she would have to like join another faction, and she ended up getting into it with the owner of Stardom, and I think either like spitting in his face or doing something egregious where he actually like fired her and like hate and actually like shoot, and so it was like, oh, she's kind of coming here controversially and whatnot. But Stardom put the whole match on YouTube just like a couple days ago. So
oh shit, well, yeah, we need to watch
that. Who knows what it is? But I don't know if it's if it was a work or a shoot. But they making it come off as like it was a shoot firing.
Yeah,
but maybe that's just a good way to write somebody off of television.
Yeah. So and you know I'm all about the finishers, like or the names. I can't remember right now, but it was like a web or obviously like a spider theme something because she's the toxic spider. And I remember that's what Cass said. It was like, I've never felt somebody who's like just so immediately their name, and Shoes is like, yo, NXT or WWE creative is like, how the fuck didn't we just think of that? That is the most simple.
Toxic and Spider. Like, how did we not get that in the name generator?
Exactly. That's like the simple gimmick generator. And then as far as storyline, my other mid that I had up here was Osprey during the show, openly challenging Swerve at All In Texas.
Yeah.
So basically, he can run interference because Swerve will do anything to stop Hangman, and he can't have Swerve screwing Hangman out of it. So he's like, "I'll take you out. I'm running interference," which I guess I understand that logic. But even if you beat him in a match, unless he's like knocked unconscious or in the hospital, he can still just interfere in the match. So, but yeah, we got to believe it in kayfabe. So
I will say Osprey is giving me Sami Zayn vibes, where I'm like, I love what you're doing. You're really selling that like somebody needs to be kind of like the savior of AEW in the sense of like we need to work together to get this title off Moxley and the Death Riders and this, that, and the third. But I'm like, bruh, calm down.
You are coming on a little strong, Osprey.
Yeah. Like he's like, yo, we need Hangman and Swerve to bury the hatchet and kind of work together. So I'm like, okay, bro, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Like, no shot at the story of what they're trying to tell. I like actually what they're doing. It's just I'm like, bro, who died and made you king? You just got here, my guy. Like compared to like Swerve and Hangman, who've been beefing for however long, stuff like that. It's like
2 years.
Yeah, like the new kid trying to stop history.
Yeah,
trying to like, guys, ignore the history, bro. They'll get there when they get there.
Yeah, I will appreciate. I mean, last week they gave us that visual of just all three of them in the ring, and getting holy shit chance, and I was like, yeah, I want to see that. Like, triple threat for the title. So, I mean, that's however we get there is whatever. But what was funny? Oh, go ahead. I was gonna bring up Osprey is in there with Tony Schiavone, and then Crew comes out, Action Andretti and Leo Rush, and Leo Rush just, he's good on the mic.
Yeah, he got a pretty decent promo.
Yeah, he's always been good on the mic and just being like, yo, you whining, and it's like, it's so funny that it's
my
Leo.
point.
It's Leo Rush, so it's like, yo, he's punching so far above like his weight class, like clearly, but. It was just funny for the setup of like Osprey, where he's like, I got my fake tan on, bro. I got my crime fighting pants upstairs, bro. You want to let out your aggression? I'll like meet you in the ring. So, of course, he finishes off Leo Rush like later on in the night.
I want to call out one of my mids. You reminded me about this yesterday, but a few episodes back, I don't know how long back, but we were talking about Max Caster.
Yeah.
And I made this little like storyline booking where I'm like, hey, it'd be dope if whatever his record is,
champion of the week, Max Caster,
we get him.
Spoiler for people.
We get him back to 500.
Yeah.
On his record overall. I think right now he's on a 10-match losing streak.
Yeah.
I don't know what his record is. I don't know what his record is, but we need to make that a weekly bit because Max Caster has been getting over this this character of being the loser but saying he's the best wrestler alive. Let's go Max, whatever the chant is, the non-chant.
Yeah.
But Max Caster doing his thing, being somewhat of a jobber, but making it entertaining. So we're gonna keep the bit alive. We're gonna keep count. I was saying they should definitely Goldberg his win-loss stuff and just kind of like add like 20 other losses in between weeks that we don't see him on television just to kind of like speed up the process a bit. But yeah, man, I'm curious to see how this turns out. And I feel like when he does get that eventual win, it's going to get a good pop.
Yeah.
It's going to get a good pop. So mid-rising, just for the fact that normally this would probably be Shake, but the fact that he's actually got it this far is actually pretty impressive. So shout out to him.
And that's my champion of the week for same reasons, basically.
Yeah.
But I did count it out. I'm on his cage match right now. Legitimately, it's on AEW TV because he does have wins like on like WrestlePro.
Yeah.
But on AEW TV, it's a 15 match losing streak.
Okay.
That's where he's at right now. His last W was a multi-man 4-way match.
Does they have his AEW overall record?
No, maybe. No, not immediately right now.
We'll look that up. And
this
we'll
year, I will say this year he's 2-15. So yeah, it does have his percentage on there. So this year he's 2-15.
Okay, so he started the year 2-0, and it's on a 15
exactly.
streak. We'll look it up, and we'll try to keep it a weekly bit to keep up with when Max Caster gets the 500 in his overall records, and then that's when the real storyline begins. Because then you just hovering over 500, bro. You got to do something at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go under 500.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. He's having fun.
Yeah, he is. You got I would have this as a shake. The Hurt Syndicate and MJF. You know, just cutting. I mean, because there was a nothing promo, just saying, "Hey, it's just business." You know, giving us the Hurt Syndicate promo, but this time with MJF. You know, a dash or not more than a dash. Because the thing is, like, I really like MJF with him because, if anything, he gets their meanness across. Because between the three of them, like, we support all three of like the Black Excellence, so it's hard to like boo them, you know.
Yeah.
But having MJF there makes it the easiest thing in the world to get over that they're obviously a heel group. And then we get a challenge by Commander and Jetfly. Yeah, that's what they're called now. Okay. Yeah, or no. It's like Jet Sweep. That's what it is. Which is homeboy from Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. They're Jet Sweep now. Okay. As a tag team and Commander. And that was the first time we saw Hurt Syndicate down to 0 HP. So another significant thing. That's the only reason I bring it up is because, you know, they're the high flyers, so they did the dives outside the ring. And they were selling for them. So I was kind of surprised at that. But I mean, all three of those guys are amazing. So you know it's going to be a fun match. Yeah. So we got their 3v3 next week.
My shake is Moxley over Mark Briscoe. I thought it was a fun match. It was nice seeing Moxley do the curb stomp.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, he does that.
I don't keep up all the time, so it was just nice to see. Like, oh, hey, look at that! Shout out to your boy.
Yeah,
you know
it's like signature versus finisher. Yeah, he uses it as a signature move sometimes.
But I like Mark Briscoe. I think he puts out great matches, you know. But I'm like, bro, I wish you could get a win sometimes, bro. Yeah. Just be taking losses. But again, you're not being the world champ, but you still put on a great match. You know, you make me believe that you could possibly win these matches, but at the end of the day, I'm like, man, they are not going to give you that type of power.
Like, the thing about that was so sick is because he's another fan favorite because of, like, also, you know, sadness, you know, in his past, you know, losing his niece and his brother, who are, I think, 14-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, them boys, the Briscoe brothers. So, like, you get the them boys chants and stuff like that. And he's indestructible because of that. And also, the Jay Driller, which was Jay Briscoe, his brother's finisher, that's his ultimate now. Yeah. Like, nobody kicks out of that. So that was the one thing where I didn't like it because they sunk me in with that when he hit the Jay Driller. And I was like, obviously he's not going to win the title. So I just didn't want him to do that. But that's, you know, a preference thing. But that's literally
I can understand that.
The one time that somebody, you know, kicked out of it was Moxley. I'm like, okay, well, he is the only 4-time champion. Yeah. So it's like, it makes sense. But
I was like, I would put it in mid. It's like just barely short of being mid, just for the fact that I'm like, man, like I know how this match is gonna end, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He was getting the redneck kung fu is over, dog. It is chop to the throat.
Like for me, I'm like, I know this guy is probably like the most intelligent guy in the world, but the way it comes off at television, I'm like, it's just like some bum that they found out the side, like, hey, we need somebody to clear this spot. You want to wrestle tonight? He's like, yeah, I'll wrestle.
Yeah, exactly, right?
He was just hanging outside, just drinking a 40, and just like, all right, yeah, I'll wrestle. I'll do what you want me to do. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So shout out to Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, and the last shake that I had on here was Mercedes trying to intimidate Toni Storm while she was having a tag team match. Having what I believe was
They said on Masked Man she was eating a well done steak.
Well done steak. With clearly some, like, the biggest, like, that was so heavy of a Merlot pour. Like, if you're to order a wine,
is that actually wine or is that like
that is
Coke that was just watered down?
That is the heaviest Merlot pour I've ever seen. Like, that was 3/4 of the wine glass. Which, if you ever order wine at They're never pouring it that high. But I guess that's what makes me believe that it is legit wine. Because
Yeah.
she's like, I'm not gonna get physical. Like, I'll just sip this all night. Like that one glass is gonna fuck her up.
Yeah, that's what I was like. You definitely not getting in the ring if that's real wine.
Yeah.
Anything else from Dynamite?
Nah, that is it for me.
All right, let's go into the book of wrestling. All right, this week on the book of wrestling, we have 3 on the deck. I'll start off with my guy, Seth Rollins, joining the Authority, June 2nd, 2014. The Shield implodes on WWE Raw. One night after the Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns defeated Evolution, Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Feel old reading that.
Evolution.
3-0 in an elimination rules match at WWE Payback. Batista quit the group in WWE, and the Triple H promised there will always be a plan B. That plan was revealed at the end of the night when Seth Rollins shockingly blindsided Shield cohorts with the vicious steel chair shots as Triple H and Randy Orton watched from ringside. A very iconic, impactful moment that still gets redone today. I mean, we saw it at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it. With Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman. We saw it even the year before when Seth took the chair shot. The thing that ties Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins together, especially John Moxley's not around, but at least right now on WWE television, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, that is their primary connection to each other, is this specific night of Seth Rollins. Steel chair, back, Roman Reigns, just
in disbelief,
falling over
the
on
first
the rope.
bug eyes that we got to see from Roman before he started doing it for real. Like
iconic. This will probably be on all of WWE's vignettes and promos, and opening show montages of just iconic moments of WWE history. So crazy day, but it's also the day Seth Rollins went solo for the most part, and spread his wings. He was a peacock. They let him fly.
Yeah. And Sammy's called him out for that, like this year. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you're the one who created that monster. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, just for it to be like across, SmackDown has been Roman's show and Raw has been Seth's show for keeping them apart since, the breakup of the Shield. And for us to just know that that's like kind of the BC, to Roman's tribal chief and everything, before he comes and like resets the timeline, so to speak. So, yeah, like you said, very important moment. I'll take the oldest one here. June 5th, 2000. I was unaware of this. Eric Bischoff was a wrestler. Eric Bischoff won the only championship of his career, the WCW Hardcore Championship, in a match on Monday Nitro against Terry Funk. He gave the title to Big Vito and Johnny the Bull the very next night on Thunder as a thank you for helping him defeat Funk. And this match is also on YouTube where, he's all bloodied up. And I just saw the freeze frame. And I didn't even watch the match because I was like, I'm sure it's bad. Yeah. So that's why I just put the title there, because I was like, oh, yeah. As I was looking for something to put in here, I was like, oh.
What year
he actually held it 2000.
2000?
Yeah,
okay.
He held a championship. I was like, oh, shit. Because obviously you have those authority figures like get physical every so often just because, you got to let the wrestlers get their shit off. Like,
yeah.
Or at that point in time in the 90s, Stone Cold and like beating down Vince was like the best thing you could do.
And Vince won the world title too at one point.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, WCW had about 9 months left after this. So
yeah. Pretty crazy.
Crazy to think like that. But hey, that's when it was very inconsistent. Yeah, Vince Russo there also doing storylines. He ends up winning the WCW championship, I believe, at one point as well. So weird times near the end for WCW during this point. You can take the last one as well.
No, I got the match. It's just not on here.
The Nexus debut?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 2010. June 7th, 2010. Nexus debuts. One of the most memorable conclusions to an episode of Raw in show's history went down in Miami, Florida. The main event, Viewers' Choice special saw John Cena and CM Punk face off in a bout that ended in a no contest when the match was interrupted by rookies who took the part in recently concluded first series of WWE's NXT show. Led by Wade Barrett, the gang assaulted, assassinated.
Gee, I mean, they basically did.
The gang assaulted Cena as various ringside employees laid waste to the ringside, including half destroying the ring itself. The group soon go on to be known as Nexus and be featured on the main event scene in the company for several months. During the angle, Daniel Bryan used Justin Roberts' own tie to choke the ring announcer in a vicious-looking spot. This action got Bryan immediately fired. He was brought back as a mysterious partner to Nexus in the 7 versus 7 SummerSlam main event elimination match. That's funny to hear that he got fired for that. I don't even remember that, but I actually kind of do remember something happening, but I just don't remember the exact thing. So reading that back is actually pretty wild. But definitely remember the Nexus debuting and just kind of destroying everything and putting John Cena in them through tables and whatnot.
Yep. Turnbuckles were down and shit. Like that's when the most devastating they did was I forget what his name was, but he was the high flyer, and they would always end a beatdown with the 450.
Yeah,
from him.
I'm blanking on his name as well. South African dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm blanking on his name.
We had Michael Tarver there that was supposed to be the boxer too. Like I thought he had a good look, and like he just couldn't work at all. Like honestly, but yeah, they showed up deep and beat the shit out of everybody. So yeah, very memorable moment. And for the match this week, I didn't put it on the Notion doc, but I did mention this to you last night. I recommend anybody out there go watch. It is Vikingo versus Phoenix, the current AAA mega champion, at Triple Mania 30, which was October 15th, 2022. Amazing match. I only got, like halfway through the match. So, I mean, we did say that we should have watched it last night, but we got way too twisted. I was like, the eyes was heavy by the time we was done last night, but do yourself the favor, and I'll do myself the favor also going back to watch this from even watching the entrances and stuff. Like I really liked Vikingo's entrance. Like where, Hijo del Vikingo actually like literal translation is like son of the Viking or Viking son. So he comes out and it's a dope ass, like he has like all the Viking helmets and it's like he comes out with like a war fucking it's the equivalent of the War Raiders, but it's like 20 of them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He has that like horn on the end and he blows the horn in the ring. I was like, oh, that's sick. That's actually pretty dope. And he had his own like lucha mask on that, like Andrade does. He has his own lucha mask, but he takes it off. So it was this big thing with like deer antlers on it and shit. I was like, oh, this was a sick ass entrance.
Yeah, so heavy as hell too.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't tire yourself out. Like, who was that boxer that fought Tyson Fury and ended up losing? Because like he had a whole bunch of heavy stuff on when he was walking to the ring.
Oh yeah,
black dude. I forget his name.
Wait, you're not talking about Anthony Joshua, the British one? Oh no, you're talking about the American black guy.
I feel like it was an American black dude that fought Tyson Fury, and he basically was like, I was tired because all that stuff I had coming onto the ring, basically just
Deontay Wilder
is like, it just basically tired my whole body out.
Yeah, we're just like, bro, you're a professional body. That's a terrible excuse. If you're gonna wear that shit, you're responsible for your performance. Yeah. But and that's the book of wrestling. That's the match entrant for this week. And that's it.
Dope. We're making some good time. Let's get into SmackDown, the boutique, the last go home show. But before that, let's start with some current event. Ric Flair announced or put out there that he's been diagnosed with skin cancer for the second time in 3 years. Sad to hear that for Ric Flair to have to go through that again. Hopefully, I don't know how that happens now in the second time. I was gonna say hopefully they caught it early enough that they can, do something appropriate and it doesn't have to be as significant, significant, deterrent to his life. But is he like in his mid 70s at this
76.
point? 76. So I mean, sad to hear, especially that it's happened in such frequency, 2 times in 3 years. So, just thoughts will go out to Ric Flair, and hopefully, you come out this on through the other side, and you just naturally go out the way you naturally want to go out. So, any thoughts on Rick?
I mean, just prayers, man. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's a part of life. Is if you're lucky enough to, reach that age. I've told you, and like anybody that I meet, like anything over 70 is a bonus for me. I mean, me personally.
Yeah,
It's like you're 76. I mean, prayers to you.
he lived a
Seriously.
long,
Hopefully
fruitful life.
longer. Hopefully longer, obviously. But I mean, he's definitely one of the goats.
Done everything.
Yeah.
Let's get into SmackDown. Last go home show before Money in the Bank. We watched this in person. We watched it live. Pretty decent show.
We talked through this though. It was
Yeah.
it was very mid.
Hey,
and-
effort reflects attitude.
Yeah.
As I said, like that's most of these shows were kind of just you can sit through and talk through.
Yeah.
We did enjoy the Zelina Piper nut match.
Yeah, I did.
There was some interference in it. Surprisingly, Julia came out of nowhere. Ended up taking out was it Chelsea and
The Alba Fire and
and
Chelsea,
Alba
the
Fire,
Secret Hervis,
and then she also hit her Piper with a kendo stick,
yeah.
and then that helped Zelina put Piper through the table to get the 1-2-3. Pretty good match overall. It was a street fight, Bakersfield street fight,
Yeah,
whatever they
Bakersfield
called
brawl.
it. Bakersfield brawl. After the match, Julia's raising Zelina's hand. Zelina's like looking a little suspect, but she kind of goes with it, and then the obvious happens.
Mhm.
Julia attacks Zelina Vega, and
Northern Lights bomb to the champ.
looks like she's gonna be gunning for that United States Championship that Zelina got. I already said, like, it seems like we gonna see Zelina
Transitional champion.
lose that title at Evolution. Hopefully she doesn't, and maybe it happens somewhere else, but we'll see. It would
Yeah.
suck for her to lose that title in her home state,
Yeah.
in SummerSlam, but we'll see what happens. But I'm intrigued by Zelina Vega Julia rivalry, so I got this mid rising.
Yeah, I just hope it's more story outside of just like, because really it's been a holding period for her with the Secret Hervis ever since she beat Chelsea for the title. It's just been rotating those three and interference, non-interference matches. So it's like obviously you need an injection of like a new woman in that division, which Julia is obviously great for that, because we know obviously WWE holds their men's and women's titles to the highest regard. Like you need to win those titles with story.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously they need to work on their mid card women. So
they just need to work on the mid cards in general, because those matches are barely even on like pop-up shows. Like even it's surprising that I can't even think of the last time like the United States title was actually defended on a actual like pop-up show. They usually use those for like SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, before we go into
event.
like this will be the main event of SmackDown, and we'll we have the rest of the card tomorrow or whatever. It's same thing with the tag team titles. It almost feels like it's very hard for those titles to get times on these PLEs. So
yeah.
What did you like?
I mean, you remember last night because we were in the middle of talking about something. The one thing that was like the actual most distracting the entire time was the women's 3-on-3 for the Money in the Bank.
Stephanie, Rhea, and Alexa Bliss versus Roxanne, Julia, and Naomi.
Yeah. That was a really good match. And honestly, I don't have memory of it outside of like just being very entertained and like the ladies getting their spots off and stuff. And like the chain wrestling between Naomi and Stephanie, where they started and Naomi tries to hit the rump shaker basically like on Stephanie. And because they started off that match with Stephanie and Julia, which was amazing because you just see how much chemistry they have. They've been wrestling each other forever.
Yeah.
Which I was like, it almost it got me to that point where I was talking about like Asuka, like just how seamless and smooth that they are, like quick, like on point, like there's no filler at all, like not just filler, but there's no great like breaks for a gap. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, very entertaining match, and that was Rhea, Alexa, and Stephanie beat Julia, Roxanne, and Naomi.
That was also a really cool finish. Obviously Roxanne took all three kind of finishers from them, but like it looked good the way it ended. But maybe that signs for Roxanne for tonight.
That's on
Money in the Bank.
Yeah, that's on her for good selling. That's why she got that spot right there. What the hell? We got bird nests over here, people. So shit. Oh yeah, what carried the show, the obvious storyline of the show was Seth's vision invading SmackDown, and I put it as like just threatening SmackDown. That's what he did. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna win I'm gonna win the Money in the Bank and become champion, and that means I do what the hell I want when I want, show up where I want, all that type of stuff, and nobody can stop us." And then I thought was an interesting choice was to hear Solo's music versus Fatu, which I guess I understand. Like in kayfabe, I think we're supposed to believe that Solo still is the lead of this group. We're supposed to be believing that, right? Because he's the one who brings in Mateo. We haven't seen the Tongas in forever. So this is a de facto, Bloodline 3.0. And even Seth calling that out and being like, oh, well, Solo in the match, like, because, he's just funny now. Like, he's got that character all the way down.
Hilarious.
Yeah. He's like, did you just say you're going to be on SmackDown? Mm-hmm. And did you just say, ain't nobody going to stop you? And Seth's like, yeah. It's like, oh, that's interesting because we standing here right now. So it's just like, I see us standing here.
Even
like,
the segment backstage where he's talking to Jason Mateo and then he makes some slick ass comment about Jacob not being like the smartest, like sharpest knife in the tool shed or whatever. And then you obviously know the way WWE writes their television that like Jacob is like right around the corner.
You called it out immediately.
Heard everything. But I'm like, that would typically be a shake just for like the consistency that we kind of see that kind of play out in WWE television.
Yeah.
But Solo is just so hilarious in his mannerisms and the way he kind of gives his dialogue. It's just no, I gotta move that up to at least mid-rising, and I'm here for the Solo versus Jacob aspect of it. And it's funny because we also definitely was talking about like, what if Jacob was just trying to show his sensitive side afterwards and be like, I'm a nice guy. I look like this mean, tough guy, but I'm really a nice guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I paid my dues in prison already. I'm trying to turn my life around. Look at me. I'm representing the country, people.
It's being super emotional and everything. So I'm here for the Solo and Jacob rivalry, but Solo has definitely gotten over his character of just being just like he walks around with these OJ gloves. Like he's just hilarious. Like I said it yesterday. My favorite thing with Solo that he's done is when they were walking up at Raw, and then he was like, "You he's not supposed to even be here." He's like, "Look at me,
I'm a
2
fan.
tickets."
Exactly.
One for me, one for him. So that was fun. I put that mid-rising.
Yeah. But yeah. Also continuing on with that, like just Seth's vision.
Yeah.
Throughout the night, they interfered because there was a Aleister Black versus LA Knight match.
Yeah.
Which honestly was going swimmingly well.
Yeah.
Until Seth comes down there, just interrupts it and starts it with, or stops the match with a curb stomp to LA Knight just immediately. And we get super spears and tsunamis.
Yep. Yeah, you got to take out your opponents for.
This is a good thing. This is a good thing from your point of view. This is not the bloodline. This is not the bloodline. This is
no.
This is how is this face action?
This is completely face action.
All right.
He's setting the standard. These guys don't deserve it. What are you talking about, man?
These guys, they're threatening.
None of these guys to actually make a change in WWE and set it back in its correct path. This is not these guys are not representatives of it. That is.
It's so funny to think that like just like bird's eye view, it's like, damn, are all three of the Shield like basically they had all three like the same storyline in the sense of like Death Riders are like reinventing AEW.
Yeah.
Roman definitely did that with a 1,000-day title reign. Like WWE was in his image. And now Seth is just saying that same thing. He wants to recreate WWE in his image. So how about that? I just caught that they basically got all the same storyline.
That's why they couldn't coexist together, because they're all egos, man. They're all highly egotistical, thinking about the same thing. Yeah. No, it needs to be in my vision, my vision, my vision. So,
and that wasn't the only thing, but there was a Penta and Andrade versus the Creed brothers tag team match, which also the Vision interfered with this match and gave super spears to Penta.
It makes sense.
I'm just. It makes sense.
I mean,
it makes sense in the sense that he's in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, no. That's all I'm saying. From like the fact that like these guys would come in and be like, yeah, there's 2 matches. that is happening with four of the contenders, it's like, yeah, I would be smart enough. The night before, I would be smart enough to go run through these guys and hurt them up before the show happens. So from a logic perspective, I understand it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
What was the funny thing we were talking about with the Creed brothers? We were talking about them driving in the car.
Oh yeah, just listening to rap songs with all the explicit lyrics.
Yeah, like Brutus is the explicit one in the backseat yelling this shit out. Yeah. What else we got?
I guess I'll leave this at Shake, but it barely almost makes it as. I won't put it at Reggie, but we wasting John Cena dates here.
Yeah, John Cena was here this night. They got to get that last bit.
I said it last night. I'm like, how many times have we seen John Cena on just regular television? Just cut a 10-minute promo, and my logic, you showed us you had like 27 dates. You at least wasted like 4 of them just being on some random show for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need some of this to pick up. I'm saying a lot of this. I'm not anticipating this match at all. I don't care for this match.
Yeah.
They cut whatever promo they cut. John Cena held up his title. They jumped Cody and Jay, and Logan took Jay's belt and put it around his waist.
They raised the titles together,
yeah. This just feels like a TKO storyline rather than like something that I genuinely care about. This feels like a storyline that like, hey, let's sell some tickets.
Yeah, they were Cena was putting Logan Paul over in that promo, like hyping him up. Like it was just like, yo.
So I'm leaving it as Shake. Because I understand, but I'm not here for any of this. So.
Yeah. That's honestly it for me at the boutique.
Yeah. Go home shows, man. I tell you, especially these last ones before, especially SmackDown, they get the jip.
Yeah.
You know what I always say, especially when they got when they're in the same city as the pop-up show the next night, and they do those 3-day runs where it's like, we're going to be on SmackDown in Los Angeles, and then tomorrow night, you also got Money in the Bank, and then we'll be in Los Angeles for Monday night. It's like, okay, yeah. SmackDown's definitely getting the jip of these shows where, you rather not pay your money to go see that show and go either spend it on Raw or Raw or Money in the Bank. So, well, leave it there, and let's get into these Money in the Bank predictions. Money in the Bank in a couple hours was about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. We have 4 matches, the shortest PLE pop-up show that we'll probably have of the year. So you probably know that these Money in the Bank matches will probably be the most time spent. Probably 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, at least 30 for sure.
Yeah, so
30 apiece.
I think I have this in order. This is predicted. I saw this online for what the order might be. So as usual, they start off with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Naomi, and Stephanie Vaquer.
The thought is, we want to have a balance between I think we just do this naturally as fans. You want to balance out your card so it's not like super face heavy winning or super heel heavy winning.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is one of those times where it is going to be like heels. I don't know why, but Money in the Bank having just 6 people in general is already hard enough to just guess. But with the champions being Tiffany and Io is more likely to lose her title. So predicting somebody beating Io, I would go with Roxanne.
The Raw contenders here are Roxanne,
Rhea, and Stephanie. Yeah. Rhea doesn't need it, but man, this is tough. I don't know. You got any logic for this?
So the initial look at this was Rhea.
Yeah.
Just because she's the face of the division, face of the company, and she's over like swimwear or whatever you want to say. But she made a point when they had that little segment when Tiffany came out, and then you eventually got all of the other women to come out from the Money in the Bank. She was like, I've never had to be in the Money in the Bank because I never needed it.
Yeah.
And that has been the point that a lot of these podcasts have been making. And that's like, Rhea Ripley doesn't need to be in a Money in the Bank to get a title shot.
Exactly.
So her winning it would be just another notch on her belt, on like just another line note on her, like, wrestling accomplishments. It's not like she needs this to kind of get her over or whatnot. I've been hearing a lot of people pick Roxanne, which would be interesting because she has she's in a kind of feud with, or about to be in a feud with not Alexa, but Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
And that just kind of adds to the dynamic of that story. I kind of want to lean that way. I also, like I said, I like Naomi, but I said the only thing that keeps popping up to my mind, and it's not anything against Naomi, it's the fact of just WWE. It's just Cole from Martin, and I forget the reference that he was talking about it, but he was like, they are not going to give a black man that type of power. Yeah. And it's pretty much the same logic. They are not going to give a black woman that type of power. Money in the Bank, come on now. So I would love for Naomi to win it. I just don't have faith for WWE to pull the trigger on that.
As we're sitting here talking about it, because the Money in the Bank is inherently heelish, you know what I mean? And we love to cheer mommy, so that's where I'm like, I can see her win it. Like, after you just bring up she's never needed it, and I'm like, that actually makes it put in my head that it's like, all right, well, they might as well give it to her then. And she's clearly the favorite, like, at least in kayfabe sense.
Yeah.
Like, being former multiple-time champion. And on top of that, the champion right now is Io, who she has never beaten. So if she heel turns on Io, hit her upside with the briefcase or something. Not that she needs to, but like just catching her when she's at her weakest. Somebody beats Io down, and then it's like, hey, I'll come in and pick up the scraps. That's exactly what you do with Money in the Bank. So with that, I mean, I don't know how much we're gonna go back to this, Io being the kryptonite to Rhea. Yeah. But that's a way for her to get over it.
That's good storyline booking.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that.
That would be interesting. Because it's funny because I always felt like Rhea was the heel in that three-way between her, Bianca, and Io. Because
she was the most heel.
How did you even get in this position?
Yeah.
Just by complaining. And then obviously you have stupid Adam Pearce making it convenient enough for her to be put into this match. So I'm like, you basically bitched and whined to get in this match. But you're so over that nobody really cared. And obviously that's the match we kind of want to see is Rhea versus Bianca. But obviously Io ends up getting the championship. But you obviously want to see all three of those women in the ring together. But again, the fans don't want to boo Rhea.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to kind of
make it happen.
But does that even? I just feel like fans would just still be happy that Rhea won the title.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I think Julia is probably going to win the United States Championship.
That would rule her out. Yeah.
Alexa. I would like Alexa, but they also made the point on the Masked Man she's won it before. That I'm like, does she need it? But she don't. The only thing you need to give Alexa is a storyline. She doesn't have anything. Maybe she gets that with Stephanie.
She needs it the most out of the vets, I would say. She would need it more than Naomi since she's still coming back.
Yeah, at least Naomi has a storyline. Exactly. I feel like Jade might interfere. I'm actually going to go with Roxanne. I think she just fits the character of the Money in the Bank. Yeah. And she would just be a good person to have, especially when she eventually gets Judgment Day on her side. She'll be good to have that kind of antagonistic kind of deviousness with the Money in the Bank and potentially turning it in whenever possible.
Did we? Oh no, we did that for Royal Rumble when I was thinking about ranking our choices since it's a multi-man.
Yeah.
But because Roxanne is a very popular choice too, and she is the prodigy. You know what I'm saying? She's fucking 22, so it would fit the character of that. And like you said, that's as close as I can get to Rhea.
She's probably the best talker out of here.
And that's the thing is, like I said, I want heels to win. And with, like you said, that's as best as I can logic Rhea actually turning heel. And like you said, we don't want to boo her. So, yeah, Roxanne works. The last chance match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Lyra Valkyria, the champion, versus Becky Lynch. This is probably the most obvious, right?
I don't know. So the stipulations is if Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the title as long as Lyra's champion. If Lyra loses, she will be forced to raise Lynch's hand and acknowledge Lynch as the better woman.
It's funny because even though it's all the last chance, just hearing that stipulation, it's but neither one of you lose anything, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a little bit less of a loss for Lyra.
Yeah.
To say okay, you're the better woman. That's just a ego
thing.
Ego thing rather than Becky never getting a chance to get an opportunity to win the Intercontinental title, which probably she hasn't. I don't think she's won.
No, she has.
And so,
This
she's
is the
trying to
third
add.
match.
She's trying to add to her, her
Mhm.
her record history and be not the Triple Crown, but
Grand Slam.
a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So let Becky get it.
I have Becky. Yeah, that's what I thought was obvious, just because it's the third match and she's beat her twice in a row already.
No, this is the second time we picked Becky, and
It is. Yeah, so she's got to win at some point. Like,
we can't be wrong all the time.
exactly. Just stay down. Like, this is like when you're at the roulette table. It's like, hey, put your same bet out there.
Yeah.
On blackjack, it's like play the same way. All right, the men's Money in the Bank. Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight versus Penta versus Seth versus Andrade versus El Grande Americano. This is like another one where I would say probably obvious, where I agree with you. It should be Seth.
Yeah.
And like it just fits his character. And if you're gonna run the whole WWE and reshape it, yeah, you should have the Money in the Bank. Like you should be a looming threat at all points and times. But also the obvious thing is he's Seth freaking Rollins, so obviously he doesn't need it. But it just fits the character. Because I told you last night, my heart wants to pick Penta because we still have not had a mass luchador champion since Rey Mysterio. And the fact that we just continuously are just putting the most obvious ceiling on our international wrestlers in WWE is egregious. So just having my booking, I told you last night.
Non-European.
Or just non-European, exactly. But my booking is him winning the Money in the Bank, and similar to when CM Punk won his first championship, he cashed in on Jeff Hardy, which we don't like as a fans. So we're conflicted and start like, do we fuck with CM Punk?
Yeah.
And Penta just turns heel, and it's Penta Obscuro or Penta Dark, his evil side that ends up being champion, cashing in on Jey Uso, because it's like we're in the middle of like Yeet Mania, and Penta just like saying, nah, fuck that, like would change shit up. But I think that's way less likely for sure.
Yeah.
That's significantly less likely.
So Solo
is a really good choice.
He's probably going to get interference from Jacob, especially after what happened last night and, him talking slick about Jacob. Penta is an interesting choice. I feel like him and Grande might get into it. I feel like the fact that Chad isn't here, or El Grande, whatever. Dark Horse.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Like, he could have it and not win it, but just the fact that like he has it, and it's Chad Gable, is just like, oh snap, like maybe Dark Horse. I also think another one is LA Knight.
Yeah.
I think if I had to power rank it, I would go Seth, LA Knight, El Grande.
I'd go Seth. I don't want LA Knight to win. That's the thing. So it would be like Seth.
LA Knight with the briefcase would be nice.
It would work for him, yeah. But I mean, he can win it. He could win. I mean, obviously, if you're holding the Money in the Bank, it has a very high success rate. So unless you're like declaring ahead of time, which that's also a face thing to do. So he could do that like an idiot, like lose, because it's like, bro, that's the same thing.
I mean, if you're trying to turn somebody heel, him turning that in on Jay.
On Jay. I'd rather have Penta do that.
The Yaz versus the Yeats.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's over for sure, but I would in that exact same spot, I'd rather have Penta there.
But does Seth need it? No,
he doesn't need it. But
I think it works with the character
and the story that you're telling,
and whatnot. And then the fact that you have Paul Heyman, these guys, it just makes it like.
And it's a ladder
match.
match.
Gives it like a guarantee of that this might happen. So I can't go against my guy Seth.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's shown us this entire week with the Vision just destroying everybody. You think Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker aren't going to come down and just spear the shit out of everybody? That's what I'm thinking anyway, because it's like no DQ. That's what.
And you would think, because it's funny, because another reason why I also picked Roxanne is the fact that she did take all three of those finishers last night. And I'm just, okay, that tells me that you're probably going to win the match tomorrow.
Yeah.
But in this case, the fact that Seth has been basically running ramshot through like all of these other opponents on Money in the Bank, and then you still have these two bruising forces, just tells me that like I think that's just going to continue to happen during the match. And again, you got Jacob to handle, Solo. I think it gives a clear path for Seth to get it.
Yeah.
And then that's just going to be Sammy's worst nightmare.
The one match that we both agreed not caring about, which is going to be the main event, probably. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Cena and Logan Paul. They could have done like, even though it's not believable, but like a winner take all or something, you know, because both sides have championships. So it's like whoever, and like John Cena, like I just said, he was gassing Logan Paul up. And we've had the discussion that like it's in the realm of possibility that Logan Paul could, you know, win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
So now it's like, how do you balance that out in story? Like, this is how I'm reading it, because you know, always you give that tag team match so you can pin the guy that like it doesn't matter. Like, you know, when Jay finally pinned Roman, that was in a tag match, right? Yeah, exactly. So it gives it just the visual, like, oh shit, yeah, the champion can be beat. You know what I mean? So, but in likelihood of taking the pin in this match, Logan Paul, sure, if you're pulling for the faces, I do have this like, I mean,
this is Cody's first match back.
This is his first match back, yeah. Which is why I said I think it would be heel heavy, but this is where you would get the lick back. You know what I'm saying? So, but then again, I mean, Cena's like the GOAT, and he's cheating at that point, so he's gonna give you he's gonna give you the title to the dome.
Yeah.
So you would hope that Cody's ready for that, since he lost the title at Mania that way. Do it, but he's also an idiot. We said this before, so maybe he's not prepared for it.
I have two ways of this match ending, and it can go for either side. So the first way is kind of what I explained to you last night, is that the heels win. There's just some shenanigans. Maybe Logan Paul, you know, uses brass knucks, whatever, ends up getting the win. Maybe Jay takes the pinfall loss. John Cena and Logan Paul are celebrating. Logan Paul punches John Cena and knocks him out. And then we get a build of John Cena, Logan Paul for the world title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and I think that the set, like what you just booked right there, like at least Logan getting the pin on Jay, that would be my second ranked most likely thing to happen, because we can believe that match, Jay versus Logan again. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We got it with us Backlash. We just got that. Yeah, that just happened at Backlash. Yeah, that's the reason that I wouldn't have that, is because to have the build right off of Mania, and you're gonna pin the champion afterwards,
or maybe John Cena pins Jey Uso.
Or
just so like, you know, we don't get into that scenario. But either way, the heels would win in that scenario. I can see that potentially happening. The other one, again, just the fact that we have 4 matches. Faces win this.
I think you got to send them in a good mood.
I would say maybe the faces win this, but it happens with a returning Roman Reigns.
That's a call.
Roman Reigns comes out, and you think he's going to come and like attack Cody or maybe Jay or whatever it may be. Comes in, Superman punches John Cena. And, you know, spears Logan Paul. Logan Paul takes all the finishers.
That's a
1,
really
2,
good
3.
One. Because we haven't seen Roman since like he was around for like 2 weeks after Mania, or like he did appear.
Did he?
Like, I think so, if I remember correctly. Like at least like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Roman in a while. And I think then you use that to get potentially Roman Reigns versus John Cena and maybe Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't thought about Roman returning, but that's really good.
The way I think that out, I'm gonna go with the faces.
Yeah, you gotta send them home.
I feel like that's a little bit more likely to happen than
we're gonna tie this one, so might as well throw it in the tie column, because like I said, I did think it was gonna be heel heavy, but you want to send the crowd home happy. Yeah, and like you said, it's Cody's first match back. That's a heavy chip that I just didn't even think about. Where it's like, oh yeah, wow,
Cody's first match back is definitely a thing. We're definitely gonna. So we ending up in a tie. Anticlimactic. But I mean, that's what happens when you give us 4 matches.
Yeah.
The only thing that we could do is just give you our theoretical like bookings of how this might be playing out. So at least you got some of our theories of how this might play out in these matches. Do you think someone cashes in tonight?
Ooh. I mean, the women traditionally do. Like they're like the shortest. I think they said like 7 out of the 9 have been like within the first week, like you know, cashing in. Tiffany has held it the longest, so
But I can see again if Roxanne wins it,
cash in on
she would.
Io.
I don't think. Well, she's not
Io,
wrestling tonight.
she's not wrestling.
So I think if Roxanne wins it tonight, that's why I think the men should go first. If John Cena and Logan Paul and all that stuff is going to be happening at the end, I feel like the men should go first just to give them the rest of the night to kind of like catch their breath.
Yeah.
To whoever wins it. Let's say if Seth wins it, they made a good point that both champions are in the match.
Yeah. Both champions.
And Jay is knocked out from a punch from Logan Paul.
For sure.
What stops Seth from coming in and curb stomping them dudes and then having people, Sammy trying to help, CM Punk trying to help, but you got to stop Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker?
Yeah.
Easily allows Seth Rollins to get the world championship.
My thought, also just elaborating on that, is like, still like you would bring this up, is that the WWE Championship is the championship, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, granted, in the situation that like Jay is just laid out, you're gonna take what you can get. So I can fuck with that from that logically point of view. If the heels end up winning, and like you said, Jay is knocked out, or whatever, if he's just knocked out regardless, and it's not Cena, but I'm like, I would still just have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker fuck Cena up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the championship. So,
but maybe it gets at least into a winner take all match with John Cena at some point, like maybe at the end of the year, like winner take all.
Yeah, I mean that's what I booked last week. Remember, was Cena taking Jay's title?
Yeah,
because that's how he could ruin wrestling, retire with the undisputed, championship effectively. So,
yeah. Nonetheless, those are our predictions for Money in the Bank. So we'll see how well if we do actually hit this at the ballpark and get a perfect score, or if there's some surprising things that happen. What would you think would be the most surprising switch? Not surprising, but I guess what would you think if
the most surprising thing that could happen on this show to me would be El Grande winning the Money in the Bank, like, because then once again it's just bringing back to my sentiment, like, we're cashing in at AAA.
Yeah,
like I said, we will have the AAA Mega Championship on WWE television by a WWE person.
Yeah,
so if that was to happen, that would be the most. Or
I mean, they do a good job of not acknowledging like the Speed Championship. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to keep it separate.
I was actually no. The most surprising would be Andrade, because at least El Grande has a storyline right now.
Yeah,
that would be the most surprising is Andrade, because I mean the main event that can go either way. Sure, if Lyra ends up beating Becky, that's fine, because it's like, all right, she's the better wrestler. I guess we're just wrong again. Becky, you suck.
Yeah,
you're washed. Like, you need to try for Io. Like, you're not getting the IC title. You get to fail upwards.
And then the women, you could pretty much go with any one of them. Like, you got all good contenders for that.
That's the most surprising would be Naomi. Or I would put Naomi and Steph. Like, Steph is very over because of her work in the ring, because she can't, talk that well yet. So that's why that would be surprising. But yeah, just the
they're not giving her that type of power.
They're not giving her that. So
let's get into our champions of the week.
Yeah, I'll start with mine because I already gave it up earlier. But I came up with it because I was trying to think of just like anything offbeat where I was just like, this is the Blueface, baby. Yeah. Title to Max Caster for the offbeat, like just getting it over, like you mentioned earlier. Don't got too much else to add to it, but I love fucking comedy characters, and the fact that he's staying heel through all of this.
Yeah,
I thought, because he's got another one of my old championships from his old segment when he jumped over the fence and just walked over the hill into oblivion. So this week he came out and got destroyed. The BBC has destroyed him, Powerhouse Hobbs. He's also getting that nickname over.
Yeah,
or like Powerhouse Hobbs is the BBC. So it's just funny. And the fact that Max Caster actually was a rapper, or, he would rap to the ring with the Acclaim. So I'm like, oh, this just works perfect as the title. So Blueface, baby. Yeah. All right. Title to Max Caster.
Getting a lot of love this episode. My champion, and I put this championship before the Ric Flair announcement that he had skin cancer. So I guess it was just opportune time. But this is the Shaq. I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game to Ric Flair, because I saw this that he posted on Instagram for your girls, Monica McNutt and Janae Ogumike, saying, good God, could we have a lot more Monica McNutt and Janae Ogumike and a lot less of Alan Hahn, who has never done anything and couldn't do 10 push-ups on the best day of his life? If you ever call LeBron James old again, I will find you. Big Perk. when you're in town, when you are a 2-time All-American and a 2-time All-Star, get back to me then. Woo!
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Ric Flair? Talk
Yeah.
about giving props to Sinead, Gumige, Monica McNutt. I don't think he's running his goddamn social media. I feel like
No, he's definitely.
I feel like
not.
this is very similar to like the Iron Sheik, where it's like somebody else is running it and it's just kind of keeping up with like the pop culture references. But if that is Ric Flair,
He gets credit. Yeah, the social media team gets credit, and he gets credit for hiring them.
yeah, shout out to them. So those are my champions of the week: Ric Flair and Max Caster. Ric Flair get better and do well. We'll see y'all next week for episode 49. We're coming up on a 1-year episode, episode 52. When we get to that, we'll see what's down the pipeline for that in a couple weeks. Moody, you got anything to say before we head out?
Yeah, do all the social engagement things. Follow us here on this YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Send us any of your engagement at our Instagrams or the wrestling re-up at gmail.com. Everywhere at the wrestling re-up. No hyphens, people. But that's about it. I mean, we for sure got, I just thought the year episode is 52. Ray Lewis. You gotta go with Ray Lewis.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I'm just thinking about like what's on the TV side of like wrestling, what we would be talking about on our 52. But
yeah.
we'll try to see if we can come up with something special if we remember. Like, oh yeah, this is the anniversary episode. So we'll get to that. Hey, we're getting close to almost getting. All we got to do is get to 100 and see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So getting close. That is it from us. We'll catch y'all next week and hope y'all enjoy Money in the Bank. Deuces, y'all.
And Worlds Collide.
And Worlds Collide, which starts in like an hour and a half. So check that out on YouTube. Peace, y'all.